You said hot and ready like a pizza.
Yeah, I did
That's
say
a good. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's like we have a place called Little Caesars, but we can get into that in a minute. That's their whole slogan is hot and ready. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Deadhead Podcast, episode 45. We're almost at that big 50, baby. It's getting close. We're getting real hot in here. We'll start taking our clothes off. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's happy to be here. We're happy to have you here. And it's good. It feels good to be back. I've been needing to talk about some things because I've had a lot going on. I know Jan has as well. So thank you guys for checking us out. Don't forget to leave a like on the stream. If you like stuff like this and you like our faces, consider subscribing to our channels and everything that associates with the show. So anyway, with that being said, I hope I didn't lose Jan because it sounded like he just cut out for a second. Okay, I might have just lost him slightly. Uh-oh. I might have just lost him. Whoops. Let me try.
Okay.
There you go. Are you good? Whoa.
Yes, I am. No, I had to switch Wi-Fi networks. But I think I'm good now.
Okay, good. Yeah, you were kind of. It looks like you're kind of a still shot right now. Like you might be able to hear me and see me okay, but on my end, all I can see is you're kind of like a still shot, like your face. You're not moving or anything. Oh, having some technical difficulties. Let's try this again. Are we back? Uh-oh. Are we back? Hello? Hold on, guys. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. We'll get it going. Let me see. I might have to get him to reset his... Try him again. Might have to get him to see if he can try to... hold on 1 minute.
All right.
Are we good?
I hope so. Like that I just had to refresh the page.
Oh no, yeah, I was like really. I was in the middle of messaging you. Like you might have to. I mean, not that you probably already thought about this, but I was like, you may have to just close out of it and then just log back in. Sometimes when you're switching, one thing about using what we use is that I think when you have to switch your Wi-Fi, it like throws off the stream, so you have to go out of it and go back into it. But hopefully we're good. Anyway, I was just finishing my intro. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And Jan, as long as everything's good on your end and you can talk and you can hear me okay, how's everything been going with you? Or not?
I can't talk and hear you, but you're cutting off a lot. It's very distracting.
I know. All right. So what you might have you tried like just closing out the window entirely and just like booting it back up completely, like just Xing out of the window and logging back into it?
Damn, I can barely understand you.
Okay. Hold on, guys. We're trying to get everything going. I'm sorry. I hope nobody is. If you're new to the Deadhead Podcast, we don't normally have technical difficulties. You know, the power of the internet. It's a strong tool, but when things don't go as planned, they really start to fuck up your show. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing good today. You know, we got an interesting show. If we can do it, if we can continue this, we have a good conversation to bring to the table. He just said he's gonna log back out of his window. I'm gonna log back in, so hopefully we'll get everything situated. But got an interesting topic. We were supposed to be doing our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth final thoughts episode today. Not gonna happen. Not gonna. I think I'm like 40 hours. I think I put 40 hours into the game, and I'm only on like chapter 7. If you guys know anything about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's got like 16 chapters. So I mean, I am so far from the end of it. And I'll get more into the ins and outs of what I'm alluding to here, but I haven't really been playing it that much. Honestly, I don't think I've played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in two weeks, maybe like a week and a half. I mean, I definitely haven't really played any game in like a week, a little over a week. So yeah, that's interesting. But we'll get more into that. But I do apologize for the technical difficulties. Hopefully, we'll be back to it. If not, I may have to close out this stream and boot up another one just so he can log in. He might be having some more issues. Let me see. But I just suggested we may have to restart this stream. Well, close this stream and then open up a new stream, and we'll. Okay, he said he's gonna try again in about 5 minutes, so we'll just kind of stall till then. But anyway, yeah, we'll go into more detail about it. I know that I am currently kind of taking a bit of a hiatus from playing games. I've just let's see. So anyway, I've just been taking a little bit of a break. I haven't really been. It's not that I don't really want to play games. I'm struggling right now to. So just to give a little bit of background, and I'm sure I'm explain this again. So this might be something you hear a few times throughout the show today, but I've just been so busy. I've had a very, very busy work life, personal life, just everywhere. I've been busy. Dealing with bullshit left, right, and center between family, work. Not really like anything bad. Really, I'll be honest with you. Actually, let me rephrase that. Work has actually been more of the straightforward, easier part of this whole thing. Even though work just sucks because who wants to go to work? But it's really just everything else. My wife's healthy. We got a beautiful baby girl on the way. Super excited for that. So we're getting everything situated with that.
All right, how does this look?
I think, so far it seems good.
Okay, right. I'm so sorry for everyone, watching us. It's just I'm back home again for the holidays, right? It's Easter and all of that, and I just don't have a room for myself here in this house. So what I have is one little cramped, let's call it a little office-like room. Which I don't mind being in, but the Wi-Fi is really bad and not really optimal for this. Thankfully, my also kind brother lent me his room, so I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, to make sure to tell him thank you for making that sacrifice for the Deadhead podcast. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll send him a little gift basket.
No, it's all good. I was just giving a premise on what today's episode was going to be until you got here. So. Just to go where we left off, I just gave her an intro, so same old stuff. Jan, how's it going, man? Let's talk to the people and what's been up with you here lately.
Well, I'd say I've been doing pretty well. I met this girl who she got me into Shirley Jackson. Have you ever read anything by her?
No, I haven't.
She's like American Gothic, first half 20th century. And, I was talking to this girl and we were talking about like books we like. So I talked to her about Stephen King and she told me, oh yeah, I like Shirley Jackson, and they'll always kind of been on the same wavelength. At least Stephen King talked about her a lot. He often uses some of the quotes from her books in his. So so I've been reading that. I've been reading. We have always lived in a castle, which is not the most popular one. The most popular one is the Haunting of Hill House. They made a show about it too.
Yeah.
But this girl, she told me specifically, no, that one's shit. You gotta read this one instead. And I was like, all right. So I've been reading that. I've been reading much more this year. I'm trying to get back into it, and that kind of ties into the theme of the episode, doesn't it? Finding more time for other stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I think reading is fantastic. I've been trying to do a little bit of that myself. Not really as much as like reading things that I enjoy, like that I want to read, but I've just been trying to do a bit more. I guess in the sense like more things for my job. Trying to read it, and I always trying to understand more things. That way, I'm more prepared for weekly meetings or anything else that I have to sit in. So, I'm hoping to get to things that I actually want to read because I mean, my job is look, puts food on the table, but man, it is not, it's not exciting shit to talk about. So, I hear a knock on the door.
I thought so too. Guess not.
No. All right. Well, but yeah, no, reading is great, man. I'm glad to hear you picking that up. So yeah, I've been the same. I was just telling the people before you came on. Everything's been good with me. I've private message with Jan. I think he knows where I'm going with this, but I have decided to take a little bit of a hiatus from playing video games, man, which is kind of a weird thing that I've never done before. I've never taken a prolonged period. Like if you go on vacation for a week to the beach or something, that's a little bit different. You know what I mean? Because you're away from home, you're on vacation. But other than that, I've never stopped playing video games. I've always played at some time or another.
Not even like non-voluntarily.
No, I mean, like I've always played. Like I've like I haven't. There's been times where I haven't really been as into like playing like story games as much. Like maybe it's like a week I might just play like, man, I just want to go online and just shoot some people, man. I just want to play multiplayer. I've done that. Like just stepped away from like your Uncharted or your Last of Us or whatever. I've just like, all right, let me just play Call of Duty for like a week and just try to rank up in that, and that was mostly when I was like younger, like in my middle school or early high school days. But like I've never stopped playing for like a set period of time because I've had time to play it. I've cut on my PlayStation. I can see my games pop up. Stellar Blade demo just dropped, and I've been interested in that. I wanted to check it out, but guess what? I still have not touched it, and I haven't touched any other game. I haven't played Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth in probably at least a week and a half now, almost 2 weeks.
Yikes.
And I haven't played video games in 6 days. So it's 6 days now. I haven't played a single video game, and it's weird. It's really weird because I've had a little bit of time to play. Yeah, it's weird, man. Like it sounds. I know. I was talking to this guy at work about it, and I said, dude, I know I gotta sound pathetic, like because I was kind of like, it almost feels like you're getting off of like a hardcore drug or something. Like, I'm
That's
detoxing.
What I'm saying. It sounds like an intervention.
It does.
I haven't touched it in 6 days.
Right, it does, and that's what I told him. I said, I know this sounds kind of pathetic, man, but it's it's weird not playing games. Like it's just weird not coming home and like whatever, go to the track, hang out with the wife for a little while, do whatever, and then play for like 2 hours. It's weird not playing any games. And like even like UFC 5, like a game where I can cut my brain off and just fight a few guys online or whatever, and then go to bed. I'm not even doing that right now. So it's a weird adjustment. And it's like you said, it does feel like an intervention when I talk about it because it's like it's really not that serious. But it's like the guy at work was telling me. He's like, well, I mean, I think you're just looking at it from a standpoint of when you've been doing the same thing for so long. Eventually, we all get to a point where we hit a wall, and we need a reset. He said, "Sounds like to me. I know it might sound stupid. It sounds like to me you need a reset. You need to just not." If you're not having fun or you're not enjoying the things that give you any kind of enjoyment in your personal life, then you just need to take a break from it. And And he said, even if that does mean stop playing video games, as stupid as that may seem, it's not. It's really not that stupid because if you've been used to playing it for however many long, I mean, I've been playing games since I was a child, and now's the time where I've voluntarily stopped playing games. It's weird, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of adjusting to that like a little bit, you know. Like I used to like always like if I'm waiting, if me and the wife were going out to eat or something, you know how guys are, we get ready in like 2.5 seconds. Women, they
Mhm.
take a little bit longer to get ready. You know, there's just more stuff they got to prepare for. And I found myself like playing like UFC 5 or trying to finish up a mission in a game I'm playing while I'm waiting for her to finish up. And now I don't even do that. It's just weird. It's kind of like weirdly depressing, but I don't know. It's different. Well, I mean, what I mean, do you think it sounds
Well, I
pathetic?
wouldn't. Well,
Go ahead.
no,
Go
I don't
ahead.
really why you kind of steer into that. I mean, I think it's not that deep, right? I think it's just as your colleague said, it's just when you're going through a phase, right? You, I mean, hitting a wall is kind of harsh. I wouldn't use that imagery, but I do think it's kind of I don't know, like a rough patch, or maybe just a more difficult or more complicated time in your life, and you just kind of need to reevaluate your routine, right? Because that's what the game was. It was part of your routine, just as you described. It was something you would usually do in this and that circumstance, and obviously like some great changes are coming this way, and you need to change some things too. You gotta adapt, I
Mhm.
guess, is what I'm getting
Right.
at.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't want to like completely lose the passion though. I don't want to completely like
Oh
lose it to
no.
where because like what I'm scared of is that let's say if I do go a full month, like I said, because I started this
Hmm.
March 25th or March 26th. It's one of those. Like, I started a little bit earlier. I was gonna say April
Hmm.
1st, but I felt like I was ready to go ahead and start it. And so like my fear is that I'm gonna get to the point where like I don't want to play anymore. And it's weird because I do want to play. There are games that I clearly want to check out. And I mean I want to finish Rebirth. I mean Rebirth is a game that I have been waiting for. My cousin's birthday, my late cousin who was loved Final Fantasy 7. It was his birthday yesterday, and I was thinking like, man, I'm not playing Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth on his birthday. That's weird. Like I thought about it all day. Now I was busy all day. I had shit to do, but I was thinking like, man, it's like, how am I not playing Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth for a few hours? And I just know the thing is, Jan. The thing about it is, I know that even if I think, oh, well, I could play a couple hours of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. What's it going to hurt? I know as soon as I boot it up, I'm going to get pissed off and bored 30 minutes in, and then I'll hate the game. And I see the thing is, and I think based off our last episode, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but based off
Hmm.
our last episode, we were kind of, you even said it, and I didn't think it was as bad, but we were kind of having more negative things to say
Hmm.
about Rebirth than we probably wish we would have. Would you agree or disagree with that? I felt like we were being a bit
Uh,
more hard on the game.
no, I will say that yes,
Just
considering how
justified, but hard. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, I was gonna say I think that what happened is we are really looking forward to it, right? We both really like remake. I mean, remake pretty much kindled my passion for Final Fantasy. Uh, and now we get to rebirth, right? And it's not as good, right? And I think all of its negative aspects are kind of amplified just because we were so eager to play it.
Right. So you think we overhyped it?
Uh, no, no, and I wouldn't say that. I think that the game just kind of did disappoint in a few aspects. I think
Oh, did we just lose him
all of
again?
our most of them at least. Am I cutting off again?
Yeah, yeah, just like a
Hello.
second. What'd you say? I'm sorry, man. What'd you say?
No, no, I was just gonna say that I don't think we overhyped it. I do think that our criticisms are valid, right? And I'm just saying that yeah, I think that the game kind of they didn't do as much of a good job in this one. I don't feel like I feel like the story is not as in the first one. They kind of made the story feel like it was God. I'm sorry. What I'm trying to get at is that it felt concise, right? It felt like it had a flow in remake. They did. obviously it is a story that's already been told, but it's been retold in a way that it felt very natural. All the events, well, there was some filler here and there, but overall, all the events, right, kind of both new ones and old ones and revised ones kind of fell into place perfectly. And this one is kind of a mess. I mean, I know you probably haven't got to that part yet, but we both said that like the entire first half of the game, if not more, I'd say like maybe 2/3, is just sightseeing, right? Just going from place to place. You know what I noticed? It came to the point where I wasn't sure whether sometimes when I would watch a cutscene, I wasn't sure whether this was a side quest or a main quest because they're so indistinguishable at first, right? Because because side quests can have some permanence in the main story as well, right? Can be like if the main story is that we're going after Sephiroth, right? The side quest can be about some kind of lead, right? That eventually doesn't end up anywhere, but it's somehow correlated to the main game, right? And the main quests kind of feel like that. They feel like this sort of important side quests, but they don't really go anywhere, right? There's not really much progression. And if there is, it's very small. It's something like, oh, you know what we haven't done? We haven't gone to the Golden Saucer, right? It's not like in Remake where they kind of managed to make every single plot thread from the original. They managed to kind of chain them together in a very natural manner. I don't feel that here. I honestly, for a lot of time, I knew what was the main thing, like where we were going, like what the objective was, but I couldn't remember how we got to that point. I couldn't remember, okay, why are we doing this thing? How did we get this tip? Because it's always the entire first game is just, oh, guys, the Black Cloak guys, they're going to Costa del Sol or Junon or Corel or wherever, right? And that's kind of what brings the plot forward for a lot of time. I remember clearly when the plot actually started getting interesting, it was at the 40-hour mark. 40 hours. Granted, I did do a lot of side activities.
Yeah.
But still, right? 40 hours, I mean, that's a bit much. Especially considering that this is part 2 of a longer story, right? So there's not like... So the stage has already been set. Right, there's no world building to slow the pace down. So there's like because usually the beginnings are slow, but they are exciting in a way because you are being introduced to a new world. There's nothing of that here because it's part 2. So yeah, I think that's kind of a bummer.
Right.
And
yeah,
that's the biggest one for me, honestly.
Yeah,
and the open world.
Yeah, too. Oh yeah, I do. We can go into more of that in a minute. But I actually made a so like I've with the whole like stopping from playing games thing. One of the main reasons that I'm kind of stopped playing games for a little bit so I can have more time. Excuse me, to do more like content creation and things for the show and to be more like take part more of my creative side. So I did make a video yesterday, and I hope you guys that are checking this out, go check that out as well. It's called Final Fantasy VII Broke Me, is what the title of the video is.
Oh my God.
I titled it that because there was a video that I saw by a guy named Lasers. I don't remember what his name is, but I watched him for years, and he was a big like Assassin's Creed YouTube channel, and he preaches all the time. Like he thinks, obviously, not like most people, like Assassin's Creed 1 through Revelations is like OG, like the best Assassin's Creed.
Golden Age,
I agree with that. And he said pretty much everything else kind of gets farther and further away from the identity that the first few set. And one of the videos that he made it like, I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago now. It was called Assassin's Creed Odyssey Broke Me. And it's like it's a long video. I want to say it's like an hour or too long. I could be wrong, but so in the video, I give credit to him because obviously I put up that title because I was like, this is from Lazarus. Here's his video down in the description, yada yada yada. In the video, though, I'm not really talking about Final Fantasy VII. I'm really talking about what the things that 7 Rebirth does. That is kind of, it's more of like a catalyst to where I'm at now. It's not really the fact that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth really broke me. It's the fact that the things that this game does push me to that. Oh shit! Push me to that point. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Anyway, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth pushed me to that point. I was like not playing anymore. And so in the video,
the proverbial straw, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's like it's not the game that did it, but it pretty much like sealed the deal. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, I'm already pissed off about gaming in general, and now when a game that I was really looking forward to starts really irritating me, it's like exactly like you said, straw that broke the camel's back. And I thought it was it was a little clickbaity because I wasn't trying to shit on Rebirth because at the end of the day, and I think me and you can both agree that I think Rebirth is a good game. It's a very good game, probably by most standards. But it just has the shit. Look, maybe not very good. Let's say it's a good game. All right,
it's a
good game. But by today's standards and the things that me and you look for, and I know that while our opinions are samey at times, we also have things that differences that I think we can both appreciate in a sense that but one thing we can agree on is this open world formula shit. It's just it's done, it's overplayed, it's oversaturated, and this game is full of this shit. Go ahead, Jan, carry it away. You like this conversation. Shit on it for a minute.
That's it. Okay, so the problem is I was just waiting for that. I was itching. Like while we were talking, I was like, my hand was just itching, right? With excitement. I was just, oh my God. Dude. Just say the word, boss. No, so the problem is that it's just boring. That's the problem. I think that the world is beautiful, made a lot of screenshots.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great detail too. I seem to find the little chocobos, right? They lead you to the old Republican bus stations or whatever. They're not buses, they're chocobo stations. And they're really hidden very well. You're right. I can see that there has been a lot of planning going into it. It's not just put together, right? So that's, well, the problem are the activities. And it's, funny you would mention Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed kind of, I feel, popularized this formula of having like hundreds of possible activities, but they're actually just 3 repeated 3 times each, right? 30 times each. I took that quote from Video Game Donkey, but it's right. So basically what we're doing is that every time I get to a new region, I already know I'm going to be repeating the same shit I've been doing in the past region. And it's grinding, right? It becomes a laundry list. It becomes just a list of chores to do so you can, well, maybe not progress, but at least be adequately leveled for what's ahead in the story. Or even sometimes they lock out of very interesting side quests or rewards. Like an example, there's a very cool like a string of side quests that involve Gilgamesh. The guy, I think his name is Gilgamesh, the guy with a shit ton of swords, right? Well, you got to get through a lot of chores to go to him. They kind of change from region to region. Sometimes you get to do something fun, like Fort Condor, even though you might have not liked it. At least it was different, right?
Yeah, that's
At
right.
least it was something different. But sometimes just doing the most mundane tasks, right? Like kill an enemy, but kill him in a very specific manner. Or friggin' what else is there? See, I can't even recall them because they're so they blend so much with everything else. What else you got to do? Oh, right, you get to a certain area and you have to sniff out 3 items with your chocobo, which is it would be fine. You had to do it once in a single side quest in the entire game, but no, you had to do it a shit ton of times. Sometimes, and this time, this is something that I just learned after 60 hours of playtime. There are certain collectibles, like exclusive collectibles, that can only be found by chocobos, by getting sniffing with the chocobos in very random areas. Like I don't think they're actually random, but they're hard to spot. They're not like the specific like activity, like the quest based sniffings.
What kind of stuff? What kind of stuff can you get from them with the? I mean, maybe not. You said random, but I think you went back on it. What kind of stuff can you get just from one of those just regular sniffing activities? Not the one that says where you can sniff out 3 of them. It's just like if you're in the open world and you're just walking around.
Just materials, from what I gathered. Materials for crafting.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes you get like these little collectibles, which you can. There's a side quest that involves you rebuilding Johnny's seaside inn, And
Yeah,
once you do, there's like a whole there's like a trophy. What do you call it? They got like a trophy cabinet, and some of these trophies, right, are hidden underground, I guess, and you need chocobos to sniff them out. But yeah, talking about the crafting, since we talked about it, I don't mind it. I think it's okay. It's pretty much what Elden Ring did, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to not make everything based on the game economy, right? You don't have to buy every single potion, every single ether or whatever, and it's innocuous. I think it's okay. I just need to press triangle here and there. I think it's okay. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
What else?
I find myself not really even like I've used it like I've used some items, but I found it easier just going to a shop and just because I have so much gil at this point. Like I can spend like 3,000 gil and get like what 30 potions, I think 40 potions,
something like that.
Like
they changed based on, but. Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I also find it very difficult to spend all the money I'm getting. Even if the most expensive things in these shops are the weapons, which you can actually just find. And they only appear in the shops if you missed any.
That's right.
Which is great, but again, as you said, there's really nothing to save on. If I remember correctly, Remake was like that as well. Like there wasn't like one big item that appears late game that requires 1 million gil or something like that.
I don't want to stop you in your tracks, but while we're on this subject, as far as like and again, this was supposed to be our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth final thoughts.
Yeah.
So you see how this is, but
I'm only in chapter 12.
From what I can tell, I'm 40. I think I've put 40 hours into it, but I'm only on chapter 7 because I got stuck on that Fort Condor shit for a long time, and then there was something else. But anyway, that's besides the point. All the weapons and stuff you get for each party member, can you find any weapons doing side activities? Because I've done every side activity up to this point, and I haven't gotten any. I don't think I've gotten any weapons.
You only get weapons from. And there might be like very few exceptions, but you only get weapons from purple treasure chests or from shops.
Right, and the purple treasure chests. So the purple treasure chests seem to be only like main quests, right? Because those are the only time I've really ever seen them.
Yeah, they do appear in main quest dungeons. Yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to it, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, they only appear in, but like sometimes they're like off out of the beaten path, right? But again, it really doesn't matter if you miss any because they just appear in shops. Like it's so. Yeah, it's got like nothing matters, right?
Right, I got you. So talking more about this open world, so. One thing you forgot to mention was climbing towers. You know,
Assassin's Creed. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you have to use eagle vision.
Dude, every open world game has that same mechanic, dude. It's like so.
But you know what? Yeah, I was going to say that every game that goes open world, although I don't think it's very different in a lot of different ways. But yeah, no, I don't mind it too much. It's okay. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of the least what's the word I'm looking for? It's the least.
Let's see.
It's one of the things that irks me the least. Let's say, right?
Yeah, least annoying.
Least annoying, yes. No, it's just the problem is that again, the problem is not in these activities by themselves. I think they can be fun. The problem is that you're doing them over and over and over, and they barely ever change, right? Like sometimes they change based on which region you are. You get a different chocobo, which has different abilities, let's say, right? Different movement-related abilities. But most of them just suck, honestly. Like once you get to Cosmo Canyon, you get this chocobo that can glide, but only from very specific ledges. Right? When you're in Coral or Junon, I'm not sure. There's a chocobo that can climb on walls, but again, very specific walls only.
Yeah.
And then the only exception, the only chocobo that was kind of fun to ride was the one in Nebel. Without too much spoilers, he can just glide on water, and it's really fun. There's a lot of. That was the only few times that I had a lot of fun actually looking for things in the environment because they're kind of hidden at different altitudes, and you can use jets of water to get there. That was fun. I like that one.
Hmm. Yeah,
Have
I
you
don't
gotten
think
to
I've got.
Gongaga yet?
I don't believe so. Where I last left off, I literally just got to the. I'm still in, not in Junon. I'm in the right outside of Costa del Sol. It's
Oh,
there's like a
okay.
little.
Yeah, that's
There's
Coro.
okay, yeah. So I'm right. I'm right at Barrett's like home village or
Oh, yeah, yeah.
hometown.
I forgot
I
what it's
li-
called.
I
Yeah.
literally just got there, and that's about when I stopped
Mhm.
playing because I was just at that point so far removed. I'm
Mhm.
like, dude, I feel like I'm just done the same shit over and over again, and it's hard, to be honest with you, man. I, I'm in agreement with you with most everything as far as the open world goes. Yeah, it's very shallow shit, but
But the
I don't
problem
know,
is
man.
that it's well done. Like it's well done. It's not just most open world games like when you just walk around. There are different ways to explore it. I think the problem is the activities. You're just doing the same shit over and over again. Sorry for cutting you off. I just wanted to get
Oh
that off my
no,
chest.
yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's not as much variety. I mean, even like you said with the Fort Condor stuff. Yeah, I mean, that that game gave me a bit of an issue, especially on that last boss, like that
Hmm.
final boss. I will never, dude. Whenever I do go back to it, I'm not playing any more Fort Condor games. I'm done. Um, but like I think it's just to me like the gameplay loop as a whole was getting kind of old for me, and it's weird because I love the combat system. I've said it so many times on this show that it's my favorite combat system in pretty much all Final Fantasy games because I think it has a good mixture. Like it's never just turn based or just action. Like Final Fantasy 16, that's one that comes to mind immediately where it's just straight up action. But like, and I was talking to Jan about this a couple weeks ago before I stopped playing it completely. I was kind of going back to 16 and playing a little bit of the quest for the DLC, the first DLC that's out,
Hmm.
and I forgot how fun the combat could be. Like it was almost like a fresh change of pace because in 7 Rebirth, I felt like you can hit combos pretty nicely, but it's like you can easily get stopped. Like an enemy can to throw an attack that can
Hmm.
completely kill your attack. In 16, you feel like a freaking beast. Like it's not many things that can stop you. Like if you're in the middle of a combo, like if I'm spamming square, hit a few attacks with my sword, and then I do a one of my Titan abilities or one of my abilities. It like you can combo a little bit easier where your combo doesn't get broken. In 7 Rebirth and Remake, that can happen. Where you'll be in the flow and then you'll just stop because an enemy will stop your
Hmm.
attack and then you have to switch to another character. And the
Or you're
combat
not at
system,
ATB or something.
yeah, and the combat is a lot of fun, man. It's my favorite, but even that was just and again, this could come down to me purely because I'm just tired of playing games, really. But I just I don't know, man. It was starting to lose me. It's like because it's like you were saying that the story is I'm so out of touch with the story because it's like you
Hmm.
say, it's like you go through hours and hours and hours full of BS, and then you get a really good cutscene that kind of moves the story along, or you
Hmm.
go to a new area that kind of finally gets the story going, and then you're there for several, like 5 to 8 more hours running around revealing, climbing towers, defeating fiends, right? Talking to Chadley's dumbass, finding like
Right, we hadn't thought about him.
no, man. It's like your the story is so stretched in, and I know that you are you've played the original, so you know a little bit more what happens in that middle section. But this is so stretched out, and I kind of wish they would have, in a way. This might sound crazy, but I kind of wish they would have made this a bit more linear. A bit more linear, a
Mhm.
little less like extra side content, and just gave me more story because I think not having much of a story right now where I'm at is killing it for me.
Mhm.
It's really killing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think really what we're missing is something exciting to move the story along, right? Because I think that the environments are fine. I think the enemies are fine. I think that the little sections that they have adapted, they are all fine. Mini games and all. I think it's very varied story wise, right? Uh, and all that. It's just that, yeah, as you said, it's just there's nothing to really string you along, right? It's just them looking for Sephiroth around. It's just not exciting. It's Yeah, I have nothing more to add on to that.
Well, I think we've talked about on the last episode that you have this overarching story that's grounded in like darkness and intrigue, and even if you know kind of the events of the OG, like that intrigue, the unknown journey, like they advertise for this game, that is so like, and I keep saying the word intriguing, but it does want to make you want to keep playing the game, and then when you go through these moments where it's just multiple, and it's thing is, I can hear somebody like comment on this stream later or whatever. Oh, well, all that's optional activities. You don't have to do that. It's like, yeah, you don't have to, man, but it's an RPG. Like, I want to do these side quests. I want to explore. Like, why wouldn't
you're
I want to do that?
incentivized to do so? Yeah. Definitely. No, this is just a very stupid take. I mean, I'm very stupid. I don't want to insult everyone's intelligence, but it's just not very thought out. Because like, what kind of argument is that if you don't like a part of the game, just don't play it, or just pretend it doesn't exist, right? I mean, no, you gotta address it. You gotta address it as and that it's bad, because it's part of it. If it were inconsequential, then it wouldn't be in the game, right? Or if it is, that's the issue. So yeah, I think that argument just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
That's like saying if you don't like the game, don't play it. Like, no shit, right? What is that?
It's like those. When you said that, it reminded me of there was a game that came out years ago. I'm sure you remember. It was it Battlefield something, Battlefield 5 maybe, and so I know you don't follow those games as much, but there was a trailer of I think it's based in World War II from what I remember.
Okay.
And in the trailer there was a female soldier on the battlefield. And people lost their crap about it. They were like, "What? I think, women didn't fight in the war in World War II. Like, not many anyway." And so it was like an uproar. And the developer was like, he said, "If you don't like it, then don't buy it." And guess what? Nobody bought it. Nobody bought the game, and it sold really, really well. And so when you said that, it kind of reminded me of that. Like, if you don't like it, don't buy it. But yeah, no, I'm in agreement, man. I mean, why else do we play these games, right? Like, if I just wanted the story, then Naughty Dog.
Watch the cutscenes on YouTube, right?
Yeah, or do that. Yeah, I mean, and it's nothing off on like Naughty Dog or like Santa Monica or any of these like developers that make more like linear. Like some exploration, but mostly linear games. I love those games. I'll take them all day. Like, I don't care. Like, there's people like, oh, it's just a bunch of Sony games. They're all the same. Dude, they're quality games. I'm not bored of that shit. I'm not bored of that.
Yeah, they make more of them because they're good.
Yeah, they're good. They're high quality. The gameplay is going to be like top notch. Like, graphically, it's going to be insane. The voice acting is going to be like, dude, yeah, exactly. Chef's kiss. You already know they're going to bring it big time with the performances. Why would Atmosphere, like Resident Evil 4 remake? That's probably me and Jan's like favorite game of the past like 2 years. Well, besides Persona 3 Reload, right? And besides that, for you,
well,
what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
No.
Oh, Elden Ring. Yeah, I forgot about Elden Ring. But
no,
not
I was
really
gonna say Persona 3 Reload. I'm not really I haven't really talked about it because I haven't root to, but I'm not too happy about the remake now that I played all the way through it. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely have to get it. It kind of goes with the whole gaming fatigue topic anyway, so we'll come back to it. But yeah, like, what to expect from these Sony games. So like, why is that a problem? Oh, they're always third-person adventure games. Is that a problem? I don't understand.
Yes.
Like, I don't get it. Like, what's the argument here? Like, what do you want? Let's be honest, man. Look, those old God of War games, they're classics. Okay, they're classics.
Yeah, they're great.
But I prefer God of War 2018, like camera angle view. I love the atmosphere of those games way better. I'm not saying the other games are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But I really hope they can maybe give a at least a remaster. But a remake of God of War 1 would be awesome. Like, it'd be really cool if they did it. When you think?
I wonder, because there's a lot of very clashing visions, I feel like. both like narratively and artistically, right? Like visually. I feel like because I was gonna say that I do prefer the stories of the modern God of War's games, but if I had to choose one game to just make a quick playthrough of, right, I would definitely go with God of War 1 because it's easy. It's just a different kind of game. Silver game you just pick up and play, right? And if you know the game well enough, right, if you're at least decent at it, you can finish the entire game in a day, cutscenes included. Well, the modern God of War games are more slow. I think that's what people are talking about when they say that they dislike these Sony games, right? There's a lot of cutscenes, there's a lot of melodrama. Maybe at times he feels like they don't focus at the gameplay as much. I think it's just two very different kinds of experiences, right? I think what people have issues with, which I do agree is ridiculous, but I think that's what it is, right? And I feel like they probably are going to do it, but I don't know. I think that it wouldn't work if they remade God of War 1 with the philosophy of the newer God of War games. I don't know if you knew, talking about this is just a little bit of a tangent, but the creator, the writer of God of War, the original games, he outwardly said that he dislikes Kratos in the newer ones.
Yeah.
He says something like, "Oh man, I don't want my characters to change. I don't want this whole." He just didn't like the idea. Didn't like the idea that Kratos had to change. Which on one, which you can tell me your thoughts on that. But I feel that on one end I can understand it because it's like it's his baby, right? And he kind of took and did whatever they wanted with it. But on the other hand, I mean, that's just the nature of all things, right? Especially in stories, right? Countless times have we took like a character, a very famous character, right? And someone rewrote it in his vision, in his or her vision, right? Think about like every single myth, be it Greek or Nordic, right? God of War 1, the very original God of War trilogy, it featured like their vision on a lot of Greek myths, right? And I'm sure that whoever came up with them, or like the very first people who shared them, wouldn't really agree on some of those some of those depictions. So I feel like on one hand I get it, but on the other hand, calm down, dude.
Yeah,
it's just the nature of stories to change, right?
I know who you're talking about too. I think his name is David Jaffe. I think is what his name is. David
Yeah,
Jaffe.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the original creator. He's not attached to the franchise anymore. I don't know what reasons, but yeah, I remember him saying that. I think his whole his whole thing is like, you remember in God of War 20. I say you remember how Kratos was in the first trilogy. And then you see him in God of War 2018. And remember when
he's like Zeus.
Yeah. You remember in 2018 when the stranger comes up to Kratos' house and he's looking for Atreus, but at the time you didn't know that. And Kratos comes to the door and talks to him at first and says, "Leave my home." And then they get into that whole scuffle. Well, in the earlier games, Kratos probably wouldn't have asked the guy nicely to leave my house. He probably would have fucked him up right there. That's probably what he would have done. But it showed him more of a very calm and patient person because until he finally does hit him with that beautiful right hand, drops Baldur, and then they start fighting. But I think that's where he was coming from. Like, oh, my Kratos would have just killed him right there. It's like,
well, this is not your Kratos, right?
This is an older version, man. I mean, as we get older, I've noticed it with me. I'm only 27, but I remember how I was in 1920. I was more of a strike first, ask questions later. Now it's like, oh, let me just wait a second. Let me think this through before I do. We all do that as we get older. I'm not even an old man, but as you get older, you just start becoming more patient. Kratos is the same way. I mean, Kratos is what? I mean, I don't even know what his age is. I know he's several hundred years old, but look at him.
Dude, try thousands. I mean, he literally lived the recreation of Earth, the destruction and recreation of it.
Yeah.
That's a long process.
Yeah. So I get what he was coming from. When you write a character and then they kind of make him, I don't want to say change because he's still there. You even see that in God of War Ragnarok when Kratos is talking to Odin and says, if you don't give me back my son, you're going to meet the god I once was. And you know how menacing and scary that was. Yeah. He's still there, man. It's just
all of 2018 was about him kind of accepting that part of him,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
When he picks up the Blades of Chaos, Athena's there to remind him, "You're still a monster." That scene was great.
I am, but I'm not your monster. Oh God, great lines,
man,
Great
so
fucking
good.
lines, dude.
See, that's what's great about stories, right? That's what's great about humanity, right? We create these stories, we take something and we kind of make our thing out of it, something new, something exciting. Some people may like it less, some people are gonna like it more. Yeah, I think that like being against this process is just so unnatural.
So yeah, it's
Hmm.
anyway, just stupid. But anyway, we kind of got off on the subject there. But I mean, still on that same thing. But yeah, no, I think we've had really good criticism with Rebirth, man. I don't think it's any real shade. I've just recently, with my views on games in general, I try to be. That's why I've been more positive on, like, let's say the likes of like Suicide Squad. Everybody hates that game. Everybody says the game's trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the game is severely average. Okay, it just is, but it's not like the worst game ever. Get the fuck out of here. I've played way worse games that perform worse, that play worse. Graphically looks like shit. Like, I've played way better like way worse games. And so, like, when I'm talking about Rebirth, I try to watch out because I don't want to come off as a guy that's like, okay, this dude just hates video games, so he needs to just stop talking. So I hope that I haven't sound really, really bad, because I am enjoying my time with it. I have enjoyed my time for the most part when I wasn't just frustrated at life in general, but I was having a good time with it. I still love these characters, with the exception of Yuffie. I don't like Yuffie. I'm just being honest with you, man. I think she's annoying.
She's very obnoxious. Yeah.
She's very obnoxious, man.
Little.
Well, I was gonna call her a couple names, but I'm trying to think of one that is more appropriate.
I mean, she's just a little girl, Dylan. She's like 16 or something.
I know, and I get it. That's like that's why her whole attitude is the way it is. I get it, but God, she's so fucking annoying. I hate her. I hate her, and it sucks that her combat is so smooth, because I hate her. I hate her. Like, I really do. Like, dude, when you got that Cloud, Yuffie, and I think when I stopped playing, I was using Cloud, Red 13, and Yuffie. That was my party. And man, what a duo that was. Well, what a trio that was. It was such a great team. I mean,
it's a DPS, menace.
Yeah, you feel so powerful, man. But yeah, I just hate her as a character, and I haven't even run into Kate Sith yet, and I'm gonna hate that shit because I can already tell you.
No, he's okay. Come on.
I heard how's the combat? How's the combat?
Okay, you know what? At first, I really didn't like it, but then you get to a section when you kind of have to use him, right? Because the party gets split, and in that instance, I kind of started to appreciate him more. I don't like him as much as Cloud or the other ones, but it's not as bad. It's not that bad. I think it's fun. It's different. He has his whole mechanic where you have to summon the little Moogle that he rides, right? And you can do a bunch of stuff with him. You can wait until he have 2 bars, and then you stuff him with dynamite, and then you push him against the enemy. It's slower, but I think it has its merits. What was that?
I don't want to play as Kate Sith. I don't.
Well, you don't have to. You only have to play for a very short time.
Well, good. And as soon as that section's over, I'm going back to my man Cloud.
But you haven't even gotten to him. Why do you hate him so much?
I just don't. He looks stupid to me. I don't want to play as that. I don't want to play as. He looks like. You know what? What's the little white guy that he sits on? Is that a Moogle?
It's the Moogle? Yes.
It is. Oh, okay.
Well, it's not a character. He's just there. He's just sitting there. I think he's like an animatronic or something like that.
Oh, okay. I got you. I saw some I've seen the combat. I've seen some of the combat sections. I just didn't know how it felt really. It just looked kind of, I don't know. It just didn't look fun. And that's where I have this really bad issue of not having fun while playing video games, and I don't feel like that I'm gonna have fun playing as him.
Well, yeah, you don't have to. No, trust me, you don't have to. And even when you do play him, you only have to fight as him during like only 2 or 3 battles. You can play as like Barrett, other guys.
Oh, really?
They're still in your party. Yeah.
Oh, good deal. I'm switching to Barrett. I like Barrett, man. Okay. I like Barrett. Yeah.
I like him to have him on, kind of on what do you call him, the second row, while Cloud is going ham. I kind of switched to him just to do the big triangle attack. Going poof, poof, poof.
Need my help,
yeah.
do you? Overcharge, yeah.
Overcharge, that's one.
Yeah, but anyway, I think that's all I really got on that. I mean, I think that
Some more positives. Come on, I feel like we need to balance it out.
Oh yeah, we can. I mean, we could do that. I mean, I think when I go back into playing games, I got to go back to that one. I feel like I have to finish that before I move on to something.
Definitely.
Your dog is
very
going
cool
ham.
by the end.
Your dog is going ham in the background.
Yeah, that's what she does. Sorry about that.
All right, positives. So we've already talked about a lot of the positives already. We know graphically it looks good. I mean, it looks pretty decent. You know, I think that with that patch they've smoothed it out a little bit because I was kind of.
They did.
I was seeing that it did look a little fuzzier than the fidelity mode, but now it looks pretty comparable to the fidelity.
I can see like even drops of sweat. Yeah, no, I'm telling you. Like, now I can see even like little drops of sweat on like Tifa's abs. Is great. Just kidding.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, I would never look at Tifa.
Yeah, you got a problem. If you pick Aerith over Tifa, you're a fucking
Come
poser.
on, Aerith.
You can't deny it.
I mean, sure, Tifa is hot and all, but Aerith is just such a sweetheart, and she's so smart.
Aerith is sweet, but I still Tifa all day, man. Get the hell out of here, you freaking poser. If you pick her over Tifa, you're an asshole.
You know what? Oh, okay. What? Just because you know what? I'm not even like gonna. No. We open that can of worms. Go ahead. What? Okay, sure. Well, I mean, I feel like I mean, I was gonna get into this argument by respecting like all people except the ones who like Yuffie, but mostly because she's a minor. But
right.
But I don't know. I feel like both Tifa and Aerith are both very nice ladies, right? Mm-hmm. They all have their their merits. I'm just saying that I feel like most people. I'm not saying this about Tifa. I'm not saying about this. Most people at Tifa. I'm just saying that Tifa as I think that most people at Tifa, they like her for more superficial reasons. Let's put it at that, right? I feel like they're not really going too deep. They're going morely for the aesthetics, right?
Right.
And we all know where I'm going with this, right? We're certainly not talking about her bangs. Does she have bangs? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, no. I don't know. It's something about Aerith, dude. It's just the way she talks, the way she, kind of teases Cloud, like it's very teasing, but in a very charming way. I don't know. She has my heart, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
And I feel very offended that you think that my appreciation for her is just posing, right?
Yeah, just trying to be different.
It's very sincere. It's very sincere. Yeah, I would do anything for her, dude.
Hey, listen. She is a sweet character. And I mean, like, look, listen. We're literally talking about women that are not real,
right?
So this is a very superficial conversation.
If she were real, like every single thing I said has to has a little like an asterisk that goes to if she were real.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's funny about I get what you're saying, right? Everybody always brings up that part of Tifa, but I think for me, it's the voice actress. I like her voice. It's just a nice voice. It's something about it. And like, me, like I love like mixed martial arts. I love that kind of stuff. And I like her style. It's just a lot of punches, kicks. That's more of the style I like. So it's like she fights the way I like.
That's what you look for in a woman, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I got my wife into it. She likes that stuff now. We watch the fights almost every weekend. So it's I think it's more just that for me. And then she's not bad to look at either. So I think it's just it's a perfect triangle almost.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, I would definitely would like to be friends with her. Grab a few beers, and maybe go to the seventh heaven.
Well, you said grab when you said grab, I was like, oh, okay, beers, gotcha.
Come on, dude.
Anyway,
despicable. I mean, you know who the real OGs are, dude? the ones who choose Barrett. Those are the ones I really respect. Because he was an option. I think I already told you this.
Yeah, you
You
told me that
can go on a date with him. Yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
It's like a little bromance, right? Little bromance going.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I mean, Barrett seems like he's probably a nice, sentimental guy when you get to know him, man. He just seems like a hard ass.
Yeah, no. And you know what? I kind of like him more in the remake trilogy than in the original game. He kind of keeps being a hard ass all the way through in the OG. Well, here, it seems like he actually tries to be friendly with Cloud and even manages. I feel like they have, in the original, it always seemed like if no one else in the party was there, they would have just fucking butt heads at every occasion. Well, here they're like, they're almost being nice to each other. They're even like making irony of how they used to really dislike one another early on. I really like how they characterize him here.
Yeah, he's very good. And I saw like a post that says something like, I think obviously it was on Twitter because there's a bunch of bullshit on that. But there was like, it said something about, let's make it popular that not every black person that's in a video game is the comedic relief or something. And it had Barrett's picture in the post. I'm like, what?
I mean,
you consider Barrett
kind of
comedic relief? I don't think he is, man. I don't think so. I mean, he's funny. I think he's funny, but I think all of them can be funny. Like Cloud said shit that made me like giggle too. So you might as well call him the comedic relief. And that stoic bastard doesn't have a comedic bone in his body. He's just got a dry sense of humor, which makes him funny.
Yeah, no, okay.
I don't think Barrett's comedic. I think he's got plenty of parts that are very like, especially in the remake. Now, I haven't got to some of his more emotional moments in the Rebirth. I just got to his
you're there.
hometown, so I'm sure I'll see it. But like that whole stuff with Marlene in the remake, like there was a conversation that he has with Marlene, like I think towards like the end of the game, right before you go save Aerith, and I could feel like I was getting kind of emotional. That's why I love the game so much, because that game has so much emotion in it. And Rebirth, I have not got to that point yet, so I feel like I'm playing it. I feel like I'm playing with like soulless characters. Like I'm having the issue that I've had with, and I bring 16 back into the conversation again, because in Final Fantasy 16, one of the things me and you specifically said was we felt like Joshua and Jill were kind of just like soulless, like AI companions. Like they didn't really talk, they didn't really communicate or anything while they were in the open areas of the game. I feel that kind of here somewhat too, sometimes, compared to the remake.
Not as much. They still talk a lot, especially during side quests while you're like walking around. It's never goes to the points of desolation of 16. But I will agree that there is not much of an emotional pull, definitely early on. Because, they're just sightseeing. They're, catching chocobos, going to the beach. Just doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, finding seashells in the sand with their chocobo. Gotcha.
Yeah. There's a few emotional highlights, though.
Yeah. We'll have to at some point. When will this happen? I don't know, but I would like to come back to this at a show in the future, maybe in the middle or the back half of the year, where we kind of come back to Rebirth and talk more about story and hopefully maybe have way more positive things to say. Because I think with where I'm at right now in my life, it's hard to talk super positive about it. And then with your side of things, I think you're pretty positive, but there's that negative that's right there. It's like it's not in your rear view, it's more in your like side mirrors, where you just see all this open world samey bullshit that we have to do over and over and over again. And it's a shame, because I think all in all it's a good Final Fantasy game. I have enjoyed a lot of my time, but then there's times where it's like I feel like I'm just going through the motions, and I think that was one of the reasons why I wasn't having fun either. Because one thing we try to do on the Deadhead podcast, as you guys know, and anybody new here, is the fact that we try to stay somewhat up to date with releases, and we try to play games on sort of a crunch so we can talk about it. And I was getting stressed out, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I just knew the show was coming, and I'm like, dude, there's no way. It's just no fucking way I'm gonna be able to talk about the finale, well, the final conclusive thoughts, by this set point. And I wasn't like, oh my god, like what am I gonna do? But I was just like, that's why I private message Jan, and I'm like, man, listen, we're gonna have to figure out another thing here, because one, I don't even want to play video games, and two, I am so far behind. I'm not going to be able to finish. Like, I'd have to literally just play the story from here on out just to get somewhat close to our episode, and
Yeah,
I just
that sounds
don't.
fun.
With a game like this, I want to take my time. I want to explore. I want to like really be encompassed with the world because, man, when it works, it really fucking works, man. And it's a good game, and I'm enjoying it. And I hate that I'm in a part of my life where I'm not liking it. I'm sad that I couldn't play it with my cousin's birthday was yesterday, and I know he really would have loved to play it. And I'm really disappointed that I'm just not as much into it. But I want to talk more about it, and I hope that you'll be with me and want to talk
do.
about it more too as we get
Definitely.
closer toward the end of it. So,
I mean, we have a bunch of time. I mean, considering that the third part is gonna come out in like what 2028.
yeah, we got plenty of time. Yeah, well, I say plenty of time, man, but the way time's been going, man, it'll be there before we know it. So it won't be long. We won't have to wait long, I'm sure. But to get to the more back end of the episode, we haven't really answered the question. The question for this show was gaming fatigue. Is it a fact or is it a myth? Now, I think we already know the answer to this question, but I feel like it's a very, very broad question. So, like, and I've kind of given a little bit of my personal things here, and so I don't want to retread it yet. So Jan, I guess first thing really is, I think we can already agree that gaming fatigue is a thing, but in what capacity to you is it a thing? One, is it a thing? What capacity, and have you ever been through this, like a fatigue of gaming before ever?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just natural. I mean, even though games are kind of, I'd say one of the most driving points in my life, right? They're just something that inspire me, and
Me too.
and they're kind of a passion, right?
Yep.
So, but there is such thing as too much of a good thing. I feel like, and it did happen to me a few times. Sometimes it's not even. It doesn't depend on how long you play or how much you play. Sometimes there's like a little like arbitrary line, right? And sometimes you just cross it. And I feel like it obviously has to do with what you're dealing with outside, like in your life, and it also has to do with what you're playing. Because I feel like you and I both have kind of have bad blood with open world games. So sometimes it just feels like it feels silly, right? To find some time in your day to play, right? To do something that you like, and you're not really feeling it, and you don't feel like it, right? You get there, like personally, to me, one of the worst feelings a game can give me, and it really fatigues me. Like it gives it the point of why am I doing this? Please shut this freaking game off. Is when you get to a certain point, right? You play, and you get to a certain point in the story where the world kind of opens up, right? And then you have like this happens in Rebirth, by the way. You get like a bunch of notifications, like there are new quests in Corel, there are new side quests in Juno, there are new side quests in Coastal. So I'm like tearing my fucking hair, like shit, no, please.
Mm-hmm.
And it's silly if you think about it, because the side activities are supposed to be fun, like the whole game, right? Because when people say just don't play them if you don't like them, there is some sense into what they're saying, right? As in, there's supposed to be somewhat of an incentive, right, to do more, like to do this kind of a side thing, so that you can get a reward, right, that can help you with the main quest. But sometimes it doesn't click. Sometimes you're just not feeling it, right? And it also happens when when you're stuck. Like I like to play hard games, but I also have a limit. Sometimes when I play the game for too long and I'm stuck at the same place and I feel like I'm not progressing at all, I'm done. I never had something happen to me like with you, where you kind of feel like, okay, I need a prolonged absence from games. But it definitely did happen to me. There I was like, okay, that's it for today, because my brain is just fried. I cannot think clearly. I want to do something else, whatever else, be it productive or not. And it really helps. Like with Rebirth, you have to log. Sometimes I was just overwhelmed, right, with all these list of chores I had to do, right? What I would do is that I would not play the game for like 24 hours or more. And when I got back into it, I was almost kind of excited for it again, right? I was having fun because I took a refresher.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe what you need is that, but more intense, more intensive, right?
Yeah. Right.
So yeah,
And
definitely fact.
Yeah.
Straight up facts.
Yeah, and the thing is, the go of what you said. I mean, it's the last thing you were saying is like it's a drastic thing, right? Like for me, I got to a month, right? Like I'm over here saying, okay, I'm gonna go a month without playing games. Reason why I said it was I just felt like a week wasn't enough. Like I just like I knew like I could take a week. Like I'm almost at a week now. Like I could probably start playing tonight because I've taken so much time off. And I have had moments where it's like I'm not over here like it's a drug. Like oh god, like I gotta have a controller in my hand playing the game. But I have had moments of like when there's been time where she's been kind of dead. The wife's just on the couch watching whatever on her iPad, and I'm kind of scrolling on my phone, and I'm like, what am I doing? And so I go to look at the PlayStation, and it's on, and I see my games, and I see the Stellar Blade demos out, and I'm like, man, you know, I could easily boot up the game right now and play. But I just had this thing mentally, and so I, you know, to get serious on you for a second. When everything has been going on to the point where almost like just shut down, not because I'm not, you know, not depressed or anything. I wouldn't say I'd go that far, but I've just been so overwhelmed with just life between work and everything else. I almost question like, okay, I'm either gonna have to stop playing games or I'm gonna have to stop doing the podcast. Like I just, or stop doing like, just quit the channel, quit the cast, and just not do it anymore. And the thing is like I don't even know why I put the Deadhead podcast in that, because I've always enjoyed the podcast. Like I've had moments, and just being honest with you and everybody who watches our show, because one thing I love about our show is like I want people to come in for the game talk, but I hope people stay for the real life discussions that we do have from time to time. And like I just want to be honest with anybody who interacts with us or comes on and checks us out and subscribes to the channel. Like I don't want to be a fake bastard here. I want to tell everybody what's going on. And so I had a real like thing where I thought about it, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I prayed about it. You know, I'm not a super religious person, but I am to a certain degree. So I'm praying on it because I'm like, these are things that I enjoy doing, but I'm just not having fun anymore. Like, what do I do? And like, there's been moments where we'll have a show and it's coming up. Like, you know, like our last episode, I was really busy. I had things going on, but there was also part of me like I just don't want to anymore. Like, I just don't have that fire to be like, you know, come here and not that I don't want to talk to you or anybody else. It's just one of those things. Like I wanted to remove myself because I was like, what can I bring to the table when I'm so far deep into this mind state of, okay, why should I put passion into anything that I had fun with if I'm not even enjoying what I'm doing in the first place? And so like I had to really start thinking about like, is it games or is it the cast? Well, I'm like, immediately as soon as I put the podcast on the seesaw here, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm picking the cast every time. I'm dropping the games. Like I'm just to me, like talking to you and our last show, we had really good traction with that show. We've gotten a bunch of comments on that episode. There was people looking out for our special guest who wasn't able to show up, but like I was telling that, you know, when I see that and I see like the subscriber count, our subscriber count's going up on the Deadhead 96 channel. And when I see things like that, it really helps me to see that even though I enjoy doing this, people are also enjoying this as well. And so like I knew that was something I didn't want to get rid of. But I think I was talking to somebody else about this at work, but like there'd be times like a week ago that I'd be on the couch and I'm trying to settle down for the evening. So like, it's like 8:00. I got to be in bed by 10:30 so I can at least function somewhat at work. And like the wife is on her iPad and she's doing whatever. And I'm on the game. I'm like, okay, let me play whatever. So I boot up Rebirth. I'll play it for like 30 minutes. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm bored. I cut the game off and I'm like, you know what? Let's play an old favorite. Red Dead Redemption 2. I still have it downloaded. I'll get back into it. I started a new playthrough on PlayStation a while ago. Let me try that. Boot it up. I played for 30 minutes. I cut it off. And I did that with like several different games. And the wife noticed it. She's like, I've just seen you select like 5 different games. I'm like, yeah, I did. She said, you're juggling all that at one time. I'm like, no, I'm not. And she's like, then what are you doing? I'm like, if I'm not entertained within the first 30 minutes of playtime, I feel like I'm wasting time. And I know that's a bad way to think, but I'm so far removed from dedicating a serious amount of time into a game that I couldn't take it anymore. So like I was on the way to work on Monday morning, and I hadn't previously thought about cutting out games, but I was on the way to work Monday morning. Like I said, I have to commute to work. I have to drive an hour away. And so like I'm just driving and I was listening to a podcast. I cut down the volume and I'm just kind of like just driving to work. It's like dark outside and I just start thinking and I'm like, you know what, man? I just think games is just gonna have to take a back seat. I just think it has to be. And that's the thing. Like I still want to be involved. I still want to pay attention to what's dropping. That's why I'm like the Stellar Blade demo. Like I knew that was dropping, but like it's like I want to play it. I do, but I just can't get back into that hole again. Like I just can't do it. And I want to stay active in the community. I still want to do a Deadhead podcast. We have Emma back on the show. The next episode of the podcast, we're having Emma on to talk about The Last of Us Part 2.
Wait.
Excited about that. I'm excited to talk about. I do want to talk about games, but it's playing them. I don't really want to. It's like I want to like here, but here I just can't. I just don't have it in me anymore. Matter of fact, like me and the wife, we've watched. Have you ever watched the show American Horror Story? Have you watched that? American.
I watched a few episodes. Yeah,
we watched the entire first season in like 2 days, and that's because I haven't been playing any games. Like I don't play games anymore. So we have way more time in the evening. I've been able to take my time going to the track, doing a couple miles. I've been trying to get back into some really, really good shape and stuff. I got some goals that I'm trying to set. And I've been, before I got on the show today, I did a bunch of yard work and I plan to do a little bit more actually when I get off of here. I got some stuff in the yard I want to do because the wife wants to have the baby shower in our backyard.
Oh, you guys do that, yeah.
So I wanna try to get the backyard looking nice and have some like yard decor and things like that. So it's just, I guess really what I'm saying is it's depressing in a sense that I really want to play games. I really do, but I just can't do it anymore. So I'm hoping it's only a month. But I don't know. Maybe if it keeps going like this, and maybe I find that maybe I'm just enjoying life a little bit better without games. We'll just have to think of other ideas to do on the show. I mean, it is what it is. I still want to do it. And I still want to, if you're still playing games, I want to hear what you're playing and I want you to talk to the people who tune into the show. I want to hear about it. I just, man, it's weird.
I'll be your insider.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's so weird being at this point. Like I've played games my entire life and to voluntarily take this much time. It's really strange, man. But I think it'll be for the better. And I didn't mean to make that long ass monologue, but no.
I think it's good you got that out of you. No, yeah. I think I understand. I mean, slumps like this can happen in any hobby. I feel like. I mean, it can be a reading slump, it can be a gaming slump. I think it's just natural. I think what you're doing is best, right? Like, don't fight it. Just take it for what it is. I think it probably, like, maybe I don't even remember now, but probably does happen to me from time to time, or just don't play games for a week. I think it even happened last month. I think that the key, I think you're just thinking too much about it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess one thing you don't really think about is how much you play, right? I'm not one of those guys that can sit here and do like a 6-hour play session, but like I'll play like 2-3 hours. Like I can easily do that. I can clear 2-3 hours, no issue. And like I guess now that I don't have, like, I'll give you a prime example. It was Saturday, so today, Saturday morning, I woke up and I'm an early bird. So even on my days off, I'm up at like 6 o'clock. So I wake up, I came and I finished some last things to get ready for the show. I got I didn't pour a cup of coffee this morning, but I was just kind of sitting on my couch. And normally early in the morning is when I would boot up a game, while the wife is asleep and before I would cook breakfast. And it was weird, man. Like I'm sitting there and I'm like, what did I do? Like I start like thinking like, what the hell did I do? Like I realized just how much I did play. So like I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna get up and be productive. So I got up and I did the dishes, I cleaned the kitchen. And I was like, what? And by the time I finished, I sat back on the couch and I was just watching a couple of YouTube videos, and then the wife woke up. And I'm like, this is crazy that I was playing video games like in this duration of time. And I guess you don't realize just how much of a time burner playing video games is. Because dude, like I know I'm not trying to do gaming is awesome. I'm not saying don't do it. I think it's great. But you don't realize how much time you burn playing games, man. Like you just don't realize it. Like I'll be sitting there on the couch like, man, I'm bored as hell. What did I do? And I'm like, oh, I play video games.
Yeah.
You know? It's strange. It's
Well,
strange.
It's a very time-consuming hobby. No, I get you.
Yeah.
No, I feel like you had it like kind of ingrained in your routine much more than I do. I don't really have these kind of routines. I just do whatever the hell I want to. So.
I think routine. It's weird, like because I'd never really thought of it as a routine. I guess, but I guess like I did like when I was off and it was early in the. That's when I played a lot of my games. Was like early in the morning because I had shit to do. So like now that I don't play games, it's like I have like 2 or 3 hours in the morning where it's like, what do I do? Like I don't even know what to do anymore. And so then like in the evening comes up and you know the wife's doing her own thing and I was playing the game. Now that I'm not playing the game, I'm like, man, like what? So now it's like I have a whole like few hours open to do whatever. And so
whatever you want.
Now this week I've really butchered that. Like I've either been watching a show or I've been kind of like on my phone or watching videos on YouTube, but I want to try to get into like other things, more content stuff and everything like that. But it is a like you said, it's we don't realize how much time we put into this hobby. It's a very time consuming thing and it's a good use. I'm not saying it's a bad use of time. Like you got a bunch of old people like, oh, you're playing in video games. Like, oh, okay. And you watching the news all day. Like, no one gives a, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same fucking thing.
Bingo.
But, yeah. But, yeah. So anyway, but and that's why I'm opening up to you. Honestly, I open up to Jan quite a bit, but to all you guys as well that watch the show, like I want things to be real over here. And I'm not saying we got to get into like, real personal stuff, but it's just one of those things like, I felt like I needed to talk about it because it's something that if somebody else is going through the same shit, I hope if anything else, this kind of helps. Like, hey, I've been through that before. Or, hey, I'm in the middle of it. Or, man, it feels so stupid. I'm making this big of a deal about video games. It's like it's not really that stupid though. Like if it was part of your day-to-day life and you don't do it anymore, it's gonna be a big deal to you.
It makes sense. Like it's a big passion of yours, and you feel like you're losing it. That's scary. Like it's that simple.
Yeah. Yep. And that's a perfect way to explain it. Like my fear is with this whole thing, like, and it does make me sad. I don't want it to I don't want this whole thing to make me not want to ever play games ever again. I don't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. It might though. It might, but I don't want it to because I want to see those shaking booties in GTA 6, man. I gotta play. Mm-hmm. I gotta be in Miami. I'm just kidding. Well, kind of. But I want to be able to play the game. I love Rockstar games. I want to play, but man, it's just like I just thought if I didn't take a break, I was going to completely shut down, and I'd be bad. I don't want that to happen, So I feel like with this everything, I've been able to focus. I've been sleeping way better.
Oh damn!
So yeah, I'm just
awesome.
Yeah, I'm just going about it, and like I said, it just. I know it sounds like an intervention. It's just crazy to me, like how much it had a pull on my life. It's weird, like it just had that much of a thing,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like any hobby that's like kind of formatted the way you formatted yours, I feel like it would have burned out. You out.
Yeah.
Although I kind of get it, I sometimes get it because, and I'm not like shooting blade here. I'm just saying that. Due to this podcast, right, we do have topics, right? We got to be somewhat ready for these topics. We do got to play maybe sometimes when we usually wouldn't, right? That did happen to me. And sometimes I was a little bit irked by that but never to the point that you are describing, right? Never to a point where you just feel like you can't do it.
Mhm.
So I kind of get it. I kind of get it why you kind of maybe it's just it's just the way your brain is wired. That you just you just do things routinely without even like realizing it. But
Oh,
we just got a comment.
Dakota Lloyd, Ghost of Tsushima on PS5 fixed my gaming fatigue.
No wonder, that's a good one.
Dakota, thanks for tuning in live, brother. Really appreciate it. Yeah, no, that is a good game. Honestly, like I've already beaten that game 2.5 times, so I need a little bit of a dude. I man, Ghost of Tsushima is fucking amazing. God bless.
And that's an open world game, and it never got to like the open world fatigue from that one.
Correct, and it had the open world shit. It had it, but it was, I guess, it was just the gameplay design, man. It was just beautiful being able to follow these animals to go to these different shrines, and you got these birds flying up that brings you to these like little, like it's pretty much a hot tub in the middle of fucking nowhere. But what do they call it? Like the little, it's like a yeah. You have those all around the map, and you had enemy outposts, but the combat was so tight, man. The combat was so
and it was so
tight.
Atmospheric.
Dude, atmospheric.
Like, making up haikus. When I look at that imagery. Beautiful.
Dude, great shit, man. The music playing, you're sitting on this rock and you make these haikus. Yeah, it's great. Mm-hmm. Game is fantastic. And that's the thing. Like, another thing to that was like before I stopped playing games, Rise of the Ronin dropped, and then Dragon's Dogma
2.
And then another one that came out was Alone in the Dark. All three of those games dropped right before I stopped playing games. And I was like, and at that point, I'm starting to breathe heavily because I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to play this? Like, when am I cannot sleep. I might as well get a part-time job. I like, dude, how the hell am I supposed to do it? So, and it's like, well, Dylan, you don't have to buy all the games all at one time. Yes, I know, but I want to. But I knew, like, because then I started thinking to myself, like, okay, well, just buy one of the games. Just buy one of them and then just go. But I'm like, I'm playing Rebirth right now. Like, I don't want to play that. And then if I do play that, if I'm bored in 30 minutes, I'll drop that shit too. That's what I did to Avatar. Yeah. I bought Avatar Frontiers of Pandora because I thought the game looked amazing. I was like, dude, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm sold on this game because the graphics are so fucking awesome. I have to see it. I see it. It's a beautiful game. But the gameplay's garbage. It sucks. It sucks bad. I just think it's trash. It sucks. I played it for 30 minutes. I dropped it. I never touched it again. I paid $70 for that trash. So you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm not into a game in 30 minutes, I put the game down. If I wasn't already in this headspace, I probably would have gave it a little bit more time because maybe the game's not complete trash. But it, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm in this mindset of like I don't feel like I can enjoy any games because it's like I get bored if something doesn't grip me in 30 minutes. And even though I'm 40 hours as far as playtime into Rebirth, even though I'm 40 hours into Rebirth playtime, I know if I was to go in there right now and boot up my PS5 and start the game, I would get bored in 30 minutes and then I wouldn't touch it. You know what I'm saying? Avatar was incredibly disappointing. Yes, it was. Because what the fuck, man? One, make it third person. What the fuck are you doing? Third person. It makes sense.
It is third person when you ride
when you ride the stupid little whatever the hell it is. Yes, then it's third person. But other than that, it's first person. And you move slow as shit. If you've seen the movies, you know Avatar are fast, they're strong, and they're agile as fuck. They are not like that in this game. They are slow as hell. Like, what am I even playing? You know, I'm not even playing as an avatar. I'm playing as I don't know. Like, I'm not playing as an avatar. I'm not playing as a Pandora pedestrian. I'm playing as a fucking box of rocks or something.
You know what, Dylan? I feel like you're not ever going to lose your passion for games. Just because how much you praise like Ghost of Tsushima, how much you just shat on Avatar, whatever's of Pandora. I feel like this is just, a bit of a slump.
Oh, come on. Well, yes, but Ghost of Tsushima, though, is quality, though. The story is...
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I feel like how passionate you are about these things. I feel like you're never going to lose that, right? That's what I'm saying, Do what you said you're doing. You do. Get a few weeks, like a month off. You'll get back. You'll be like fresh like a rose.
I hope so. I hope you're right about that. I don't want to stop playing games because I know, like, our conversations, especially when we're bitching about a game, like you like when we were, I'll never forget it. The conversation we had talking about Persona 3. And,
All right.
I had played it before you, like the remake, the Reloaded or whatever. You hadn't got your copy yet, so you bitched about that for like 10 minutes, and then you asked me my opinion on the game. So I'm giving you my opinion, and I was pretty positive, and then I start going into the negatives, and I was mostly exaggerating, but I did have real criticism with the game, and you were just geeking. You thought that shit was so funny because I'm like, yeah, it's so
funny.
stupid. It feels like fucking real life. All we do is go to classes. You got to work a job. Like,
Okay, because you can't wait to get out of your job so you can go play a game and go to your job. It's great.
And you were laughing so hard, and I thought that was such a funny conversation, and I remember that, and I'm like, well, this is why we do this in the first place. We play games, and if they're absolute trash, we can come and bitch about it on the show, and it's funny, and that's what keeps me going. And so yeah, I'm hoping that everything. I hope what you said is right, man. I hope a few weeks out from this, I'll be back and I'll finish. I'm kind of regretting it, but I do want to go back into Rebirth, play it to its full potential, finish it. But I don't know. I'm getting exhausted just thinking about it. Like, I'm getting exhausted.
Coda says that you might need something, unique and different from anything else to break the slump. Feels like there's a mold that all games go into now. No, that's definitely true. I think that's why we're so much not into Rebirth as much as we would like to, because although it does have that classic Final Fantasy charm and all that, it is getting a bit too much like all the other open world games that are coming out.
Well, it's they're taking that Ubisoft formula, right? Like Ubisoft was like, they were like kings of the industry for a little while there, because they had just between the writing and the atmosphere. I mean, you look at those like older, like Assassin's Creed 2, walking through Firenze, like it's such a it's crazy, like how the atmosphere was. You're hearing that music play, and you're climbing these buildings and these tall towers and running through, killing these guards up on the rooftops. Like I can hear the dude. It's like I'm getting like a freaking testosterone shot like right now just thinking about it. You know what I mean?
That was great.
And
like the worlds they created, they felt so real, right? I felt they were the first ones that actually had people interact, like NPCs just talking, going about their day.
Dude, yeah.
It was great about it.
It
You
was really
walk
great.
right past them, you'd run right past one, and one would go, "Oh man, you must be real late, and she must be really beautiful." Something like that.
yeah, it had a lot of stuff like that, and so like then when you get into Far Cry, and it started with Far Cry 3, really, where Far Cry was this big like island area that had all these viewpoints and stuff. And Far Cry 3 is a great game. Have you ever played that, Jan? Have you ever played Far Cry 3?
It's been a long time, but I did play bits of it.
Yeah, well, I would say it's due for another playthrough, but it's got that open world shit that's probably not something we want to get into.
Yeah, but I'm hoping it's like, Ghost of Tsushima or Spider-Man, right? Where it is open world, but it's not. It's actually fun. Open world but fun. I think we kind of need a new name for that, because open world, kind of has a negative connotation to it by this point.
Dude, I'll get in that in a minute, but when you said that, I just thought about something. But like, I think it started with Far Cry 3, and now like every game tries to copy it, and it's just getting really old. But speaking of open world shit, did you hear that apparently the next Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 9, they're looking to make it more open world? I've heard some little shit about that, like some little tidbits. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we? Capcom. I know you don't watch this podcast, but fuck you. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why? I don't want to see Leon run into an open world. Like, what does that? Yeah, what does it mean? Like, how do you even do it? Resident Evil.
That's okay. So here's my issue with that. I mean, it's a survival horror series, right? Even though some people say it has strayed from its origins, it's still about that, right? You have a limited amount of resources of ammo, right? And you got to be careful about that. If you have an open world, you might as well just throw everything out of the window. Because now I don't have to worry with resources anymore. I just have to complete one of the fucking 30 side quests. I gotta help a guy. I don't know. There's gonna be a guy, he's gonna be like, oh man, the zombies, they stole my car tires, and you have to go chase. You have to figure out which zombie has the car tire, and then when you give him back, it's like, oh man, thank you. Here you go, 5 Magnum bolts. I mean, it's just, I don't even need to specify why. That's the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah. No, it's really bad. Like,
are we gonna have like what, fast travel or Resident Evil? One with it's all about figuring out the layout of levels, right?
Yeah.
And being able to travel across them. We're gonna have fucking fast travel,
dude. I wouldn't surprise me, man. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like maybe when this, I have to look, and if I can, I'll find the article and I'll send it to you. But it might just be, honestly, open world might be like not the name for it. It might be more of like a God of War Ragnarok kind of thing, like open areas, but not exactly open world. So there's exploration, but
like Seattle in The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah. So I mean, that could maybe
work. Could work, I guess. Yeah, maybe.
But I guess like it would make it a little bit. I mean, not that you can't like like the big thing about Resident Evil, right? Now, I'm not really as much into it, but I know you've kind of played around with it. Is like the second or third playthroughs where you try to beat the game on like the fastest can, like not don't save as much to try to run around enemies. If you have more open-ended areas, I feel like it'd be a bit harder to do that. I mean, I guess you could still do it. It would just be, it wouldn't be as like it is like in Resident Evil 2 where you're running through the police station and things like that.
It would be worse than hard. It would be annoying. Because that's kind of the point I was trying to make when comparing modern and old God of War, right? Well, the old God of War is kind of concise, it's straightforward, and it's just fun to play through it. Well, the other ones kind of have to get into it, right? You can't just have a quick game. And I feel like if they do that, if they add more open world to Resident Evil, it's gonna be like more of a. It's gonna be not like that, right? You're actually gonna have to. You can be able to think of it the same way, right? As you said, we're in the second playthrough to challenge yourself, right? Try to do the same thing but better. Because that's how I feel when I finish games like Resident Evil or the first Devil May Cry games. You play through them and as the credits scroll, you feel like, oh man, that was awesome. Let's do it again. In open longer games, you really don't get that, right? When I finished, I don't know, freaking Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man 2, it was great and all. Considering it was an open world game, it was fantastic. But when I finished it, I was like, all right, I'm satisfied. I don't feel like doing that again, right? And I would hate to feel that at the end of a playthrough of Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, because that's a big staple of the franchise, man. Is going back and doing those second or third playthroughs. I mean, the first playthrough is always going to be the most eeriest. It's going to be the most like atmospheric. But then the second or third is just when you just go and just F everything up in your path at that point, because you have the better weapons at that point. And, with their new game plus kind of thing.
Or you know what? If you play on a higher difficulty, then gives it a new spin, right? Because now you're more familiar with the mechanics, so now you know what to watch out for, right? It's very fun. It's very intriguing. I love that. And open world games, as hard as they will try, they will never get there. They will never get that.
Yeah.
The feeling to make me excited for another playthrough. I once talked to like a friend of mine about this. She was like, we're having this argument. She was like, oh man, I think that like the longer the game is, the better, right? And I think that I was like, nah, like shut up right now. I mean, and my point, playing indie games is really refreshing right now. Unique stories and gameplay, and they're almost all unique in their own right. I agree with that. And I do agree with that. I think that you miss out a lot by not playing indie games. Exactly because of that, you never know how to expect. They're not bound by certain by the zeitgeist, right? They don't have to follow whatever trend is in right now.
Yeah.
To get back to what I was saying, I mean, on the long run, I probably sink more time in short games than long ones, because the long ones, okay, I take my time to beat it, but then that's it. I never play it ever again.
Yeah.
A shorter game, it keeps me hooked, right? Because now, okay, I can do it, but better. As long as the game is good, of course, right? As long as the game gives you a lot of space for improving, right? Because if a game is short, then you can like learn the levels, learn the layouts. It doesn't even have to be that short. Even Uncharted games are like that for me. Every time I play it, I feel like I'm going to challenge myself more, right? Like, okay, let's try to beat through like a long string of like levels without dying on the hardest difficulty. again, an open world game, you can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like with like The Witcher 3, right? The Witcher 3 is arguably one of the best games that's come out in the past. Well, golly, what did it come out? 2015? Okay, past 10 years. You could say past 10 years. It's arguably one of the best games that's come out. And I would be in agreement. I've gotten pretty far into The Witcher 3 on my Xbox because I had it on Xbox for a while, and then when I had a PS5, I think it was on like sale for like 15 or 20 bucks. I was like, I copped it on PlayStation as well. But on Xbox, I think I put like 50 hours into the game. And it's a great game, but I will probably never finish it because it's so damn long, man. It's like a Skyrim. It's like it never ends, and it's in a good way, in the best possible way. The story is so good, atmospherically, it's amazing. Music, I mean, it's got everything you want. A badass protagonist, lots of booty, lots of booty action. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a great game. Really awesome card game. If you thought Queen's Blood was fun, Gwen is pretty fun as well. So there's a lot of things I like about The Witcher, but it's just so freaking long. And not to mention the base game is long as hell, which the story is only like 30 hours, but everything else just makes that game so much longer. But then you have 2 DLCs, Blood and Wine, and then the other one, I can't remember what it's called. But those add an extra like 40 or 50 hours into the game. And it's like, how do you have the time to do that? Like I've put like 65 hours into Cyberpunk, which is CD Projekt Red, so it's the same developer, and that game is amazing. It's like one of my favorite games that's come out recently, and like I don't know, man. Like I'm not even finished with Cyberpunk, and I've been playing that religiously for several months, and I'm not even done with it. So it's like, I'm with Jan on this one. Listen, I like a game that keeps me in their world for as long as they can, as long as it's interesting. But yeah, like I'll take my Resident Evils, I'll take my Last of Us, I'll take my Uncharted, I'll God of War. Dude, give me all the Sony exclusives. I don't give a shit. I will take those any time of the day over some long ass game that's going to take like 100 hours to beat. That's one reason why I'm kind of scared to get into Dragon's Dogma, because I know that's a game that's a big game, and I just don't know if I want to do that. But there was also, just to go on with Dakota's comment about indie games, there was a game that I was playing on Xbox. I don't think it's on PlayStation, but it was like for 20 bucks, and it was called El Paso Everywhere. Have you heard of that, Jan? El Paso Everywhere. Anyway, it's like a Max Payne clone, like the original Max Payne, like the third person bullet time kind of game. And it's an indie studio that made the game. And man, like
El Paso Elsewhere.
Yeah. El Paso Elsewhere. That's what it is. I said everywhere. But look up the visuals on that game. It's not like it's like super great visuals or anything. It's not just it's a lot of the characters don't even have faces. They don't even have faces, but the gameplay is tight as hell. The weapons you can use is great. The voice acting, oh my god, the freaking voice acting is nuts in that game, and it's a blast. And I think I got like halfway through it, and then I think that was when something else dropped. So I was like, all right, well, I got to put this down because it's obviously not the game I want to put all my time into. But it's a blast. I hope it comes to PlayStation because I'd love for you to try it. Bramble is a must play.
I love games like that. Yeah.
Bramble. Yeah, I don't think I've played. Yeah, I don't think I've played Bramble. I don't think I've seen that one either. But yeah, no, I agree, man. The indie games do give a bit. They're so creative, man. It just, if only they had the budget to really like make their vision.
But you know what? I don't agree with that. I feel like they managed to make fantastic products with the budget they get. I feel like, you know, they kind of tap into this old art that video games had to rely on back when the technology wasn't as developed. Where the limitations were turned into sorry, I'm really bad with my vocabulary today. But what I'm saying is that limitations are opportunities to be creative about your game, right? We program it, we design it. Bramble. I have to look into Bramble. I'm sorry. The Mountain King.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
No, I mean, I've never really been much in indies because my thing is like, and this is gonna sound so bravado, and Jan knows this. He's probably gonna laugh when I say it. I am very funny. Like, so all right. So I'm not one of those people where it's like, you got. I think me and Jan had this conversation like a few shows ago about there's actually people out there that have a problem with playing as a female. I don't know what where that comes from because for me, like as long as she's a good character, I don't care. Like, it does not. Yeah, exactly. It really does not matter as long as she's a good character and she goes to a story that I can relate to or have some kind of relatability with. I'm fine with it. That's my problem with Aloy from Horizon games. Not that she's a bad character. I just think that she's just she's dull to me. So it's just really hard for me to vibe with her as a character. I don't think she's a bad character. I just don't vibe with her well. That's my thing.
I think she's a bad character.
Okay, well that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not gonna say she's dog shit, but I can't really relate with her. I just don't get it. So my thing is when I'm playing as a character, and this would be a very interesting topic that maybe we can go more in detail with some other time, but does it matter who you play as in a video game? Like at least like a part of a segment of a show, because like for me, it does kind of matter a little bit. I don't really want to play as like with a lot of these indie games, it's very like, obviously, like you say, they don't really have the budget. It's not really like you can't expect like the Last of Us Part 2 level visuals in these games, but I like to play as a character that looks cool. I like to play as a character that's badass. I like to be able to do things in a game that's awesome. Like I think about BioShock, right? BioShock Infinite. Look at the things you can do in that game. You know what I mean? You got your freaking magic in one hand and then your pistol in the other, or rifle, or whatever you're using. And that's so badass to me. That's what I want to play. I'm a little.
But it's very present in the games.
I'm a little.
A lot of games that make you play as very cool characters.
Well, I'm just that's
like
what. But I'm just
also one.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but see, if I wasn't playing, like, and he doesn't even have a face, but it's just the fact of like between the voice acting, the atmosphere, the gameplay, I feel like a badass, and that's when I play games. I just want to feel like a badass, and I feel like here lately, a lot of these games, especially all these we've talked about this, and then we'll get into Dakota's comment, but a lot of these games nowadays, and we've talked about this several times, they just look cartoony. They look like they're made for children. And I think that video games are so varied nowadays that you have just as many adults, if not more, playing games than like children. And so like I feel like you don't see as many mature rated games like I would like to. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm seeing a lot more like side scroller type games. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have a place in today's gaming whatever. But at the same time, where are these like I want to see like actual like push the power of these consoles, right? They talk about these most powerful consoles. That's clearly not the case, right? It's clearly not the case. Dragon's Dogma is 30 FPS locked on PS5. So these are obviously not the most powerful consoles. They might be the most powerful consoles that have come out, but they're not as powerful as they've been advertised. So, but we've also seen games that have really pushed the boundaries of that. I mean, good God, man. You had Death Stranding running on the PS4. Look at that game. Look at the visuals of that. It's crazy to me. If I can get that from the PS4, then I can get that from the PS5. Give me a fucking break. Is that game harder to make? Yes, it is harder to make. And I think that's why we don't see it as much anymore, because you see a lot of these games like Fortnite, which is a free game, but like Fortnite and Apex, things like that, games that don't really depend on visuals as much, they're very, very popular. And so therefore these studios are like, hey, why put all these millions of dollars into this product when I can make some cartoony, like I'm not gonna say easy, but this, cartoony, not really pushing the boundaries type of game. And again, that might sound kind of ignorant on my part, and that might be it. That's fine. But for me, I just don't feel like games have the passion or not really trying to push the boundaries as much as they used to. And I get that comes down to, studio execs leaving the company. I know that gets to a lot of like Rocksteady. Rocksteady is a perfect example of that. Look at those Batman games, those original Batman games. They were dark, they were gritty, atmospheric, and dude, Arkham Knight looks amazing to this day. And that game came out in 2015. It's one of the greatest looking games that's been made, period. They don't make games like that no more because it takes more time to make. That's why Suicide Squad is a live service, more of a business model than it is a game. And I enjoy the game. I enjoy actually Dakota Lloyd who's commenting on this stream right now. He's enjoying Suicide Squad from last time I talked to him anyway. It's not a bad game, but it's not Batman Arkham Knight. It's not that, because I just don't think these studios want to do that anymore. They want to create games that's going to make them the most money. And right now, what makes these companies the most money are, I don't want to say half-assed, but visually like cartoony kind of style, very
let's say safe.
Monetized. Okay, safe. Let's do that. Like monetized products. That's what they do. They want to make games like that. They don't want to make games like that I like. They don't want to make a Max Payne 3. They don't want to make I really honestly, I'm applauding Bethesda. I can't believe I'm doing this, for staying true to their guns and still making RPGs, because they could easily, I mean, they tried to do Fallout 76 and it failed, but I'm just saying, like,
They have the Frozen Online also.
right. And I don't know. Like, what I know I'm probably rambling here. My thing is, I feel like gaming is just not that it's still not decent, but I do feel like the lack of quality just isn't there. And I feel like a lot of games feel kind of the same now. I do. And I think these cartoony looking games, there's more than enough of those. I feel like there's too many. Like the Prince of Persia, that should have been third person, bro. Why the hell is that side scroller? Third person. What are you doing?
Well,
Anyway,
I mean,
sorry.
I really cannot agree with anything you said right now. This is like the first time that I listen to it, I'm like, man, I just can't. Dude, I just don't agree with any of this. Because I feel like, well, I mean, it's not like an attack on you or anything. I'm just saying that, well, first off, I feel like, so from what I'm getting, right, you're very dissatisfied by the visuals of the game nowadays, because you feel like, see, this is where I'm confused. Because you're saying that you like stuff like, like Death Stranding, right? But Death Stranding was great, like visually, I really liked it. But when you think about its graphical design, it's just a very realistic design, right? But while the more cartoonish ones, actually, in my opinion, have more opportunities to be creative, right? I'm not saying that they all are. I will agree that all of them look samey. A lot of them look kind of the same. But I feel like, and this is where we get back to the indie scene. I feel like exactly as you said, right? I feel like the big companies just want to make the product that makes the most money. That's why they go to, safe designs, as you said. And I agree with that. That's why they go to live service models. And I agree with that. That does suck. But that's why the indie scene is so great. It's a bunch of developers. They're just purely passionate, right? They grew up with the games that we grew up with, right? And they are more or less unbound. They might be restricted financially, but they are unbound by execs telling them exactly what kind of product they have to make. That's why the indie scene is so great. Like what Lloyd says, all these new games are all about the profit. Yeah, exactly. Not the soul. Fortnite definitely started the whole, you have to monetize everything movement in the industry. No, I agree with that. Oh, that's great. You can highlight them to look great. I just, I don't know. Maybe this goes back to why you're kind of feeling fatigued from games. Maybe you're not looking in the right place. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But I just wanted to say, Dakota, thank you for recommending Bramble. It's actually discounted on the PlayStation Store right now, and we're talking like 60% off. I think we'll grab it because it sounds very cool.
Good deal. Yeah, no, and I give it. And by the way, like I didn't quite. So what you're saying, I think you might have either misunderstood what I said or
maybe. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that I do see a lot of the visions that I see with the indie games. I agree with you because I just mentioned El Paso elsewhere. Excuse me. That game normally wouldn't be for me, but I think the thing that I love about it is it reminds me of that old school, like, and it goes back to what you say. I think a lot of these indie developers, like, they did grow up with games that we like because that game is straight up Max Payne. The only thing is you're killing vampires, and it is a cool experience. And I guess really what I'm really trying to say is I just wish that a lot of these ideas that are from these indie developers would be made into these more double A / triple A type games. Because like to me, I love Days Gone. Days Gone is like a double A game. It's not a triple A game. And I love Days Gone. And I think it had a great foundation. And again, it had open world stuff. It had your outposts. It had your, it just had your open world things. But I think just what it comes down to is the atmosphere. I believe the bike mechanics, the gameplay, the infected. I mean, everything about that game was just something that really interested me. And it sucks because that game is never going to get a sequel. And I feel like that game really deserved one. And so, yeah, I mean, like I think that I think indies do have something to offer to the industry, and that's why I'm glad they exist. But it just sucks because it feels like, as far as mainstream, and we tend to follow a lot more mainstream here on the show. I just find it's getting harder and harder for me to be excited to talk about shit that I'm not excited about. Like I'm just and I think, and again, and it kind of goes back to the whole burnout, right? It comes back to the whole gaming fatigue. Like, are games really this bad, or is it just because I'm so fatigued and I just don't give a shit because of my own personal bias and thinking? And it could be that. I mean, it could be, but right, it could be both, right? And when I come back to it, I'm so hard on myself because I sometimes I'll see a game that everybody else likes, and I'm like, why is anybody interested in this trash? And I start thinking, like, man, am I the problem? But I look back at it, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm looking at Foam Stars, right? Foam Stars on PlayStation. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, I would never.
Splatoon.
Essentially,
it's Splatoon on PlayStation. Yeah,
I'm like, but no, I'm not. In Dakota Lloyd, amen, brother. Days Gone was so good. Yes, it's one of the best games I've played in the past 5 to 6 years. It's a great game on PC. Oh, on PC, it's even. I mean, dude, it's unbelievable. It's so freaking good, man. Atmosphere out the ass, dude. Riding the bike through a bunch of undead hordes. Oh man, dude, it's so great. But yeah, I just gaming in general just isn't really doing it for me with these main releases, and I hope that the likes of Wolverine, whenever we get The Last of Us Part 3, which I don't know when that'll be. Judas.
I think we'll get Final Fantasy VII Part 3 before that.
Right. Judas. Have you seen any gameplay for Judas? It's space. They describe it as like space BioShock. Like it's made by the same developer.
Oh yes. Oh, I can't wait for that one.
Dude, that looks phenomenal.
Yeah, that was great.
That gets me excited.
And that's straight up BioShock, by the way. They're not even hiding it. You have a gun in one hand, they have a little power in the other one.
Yeah. Oh, straight up BioShock. But it looks amazing. That's what I want. I want atmospheric, weird games, and those are the games that I'm excited for, but they're so far out that I lose interest. Like GTA 6 is another one. Whenever that comes out, they say, hell, I saw somewhere that it might be getting delayed another year, is what I'm reading in some areas. So it's like, it just sucks, man. I guess we'll kind of wrap it on up here in a minute, but I guess for me, it's I think with this month, if I go the full month, I'm definitely going the next week or two for sure. Definitively between probably to the middle of April, I'm definitely not playing games anymore. Now, past that, just kind of depends. But I'm hoping that by the end of this, I'll really kind of get this, because like you say, I can feel it in me. Talking about games gets me riled up, and I start thinking about some of the things that excite me in the industry. And by the way, when you disagreed with my take, I got no issue with it, man. Listen, I know that my takes can be controversial. I know that my takes can be a bit shit because I'm not going to be in this. Dude, I'm sorry. I can't get excited for freaking Pal World. I can't get excited for Pal World. I'm sorry. I'm just not into that. I'm not into that.
That's okay.
Shooting Pokemon.
Okay. I think
I'm not into that.
I think you're just putting things in a vacuum. That's the only thing that I disagree with your take. You're just going to tend to do that, right? When you mentioned me indie games, you mentioned Pal World. And the one game you played once, it looks like Max Payne, El Paso everywhere. I think that's the only thing that kind of irks me. I feel about your take. You're kind of talking about very generally, and it became kind of muddy, right? That's the only thing.
Well, I
But
mean,
yeah,
I think the reason why I like El Paso Elsewhere is
mhm,
because it's a lot like Max Payne, which is why I like it.
mhm.
Pal World
That makes
is
sense.
essentially Zelda plus Pokemon plus
Uh, it's
Fortnite.
even worse that it's got crafting and all that. I mean, I'm glad that it's working out for the developers. I'm just not something I'm interested in. I agree.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, I think like the bottom line for this, I feel like, is that I think that back then, like games were being more creative because they weren't as expensive to make, and the development time wasn't as grueling. For the most, what is now considered a AAA, right? Because that bar just kind of kept getting higher and higher and higher, and got to the point that it's just an insane task to make a video game, right?
Mhm.
Which is why the most, as Agoda said, the most interesting and unique games are the smaller indie ones. And I do not think that that's like a detriment to them. I think that these games in there, I don't see them as being compromised. I just see them as them not being as expensive, right? I feel like I'd never watch like an indie game and think, oh man, this would be great if it were, if they put more onto it. No, I think that it's perfect the way it is. But maybe that's just me. Uh, yeah, if you're like, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about
No,
that.
no, I mean, I think I think that's a good point to make. I mean, if that's a lot of the charm of the indie games is that they don't have a lot of money. It's more about passion, and that's a good point. I never really thought about that. So yeah, I get me saying that, man, I wish it had a bit more of a budget. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because if I could see some of this stuff, like if I could see some of these things, like for instance, if El Paso Elsewhere
Mm-hmm.
just had a bit more of a budget, and a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
flair is that it's a faceless protagonist. All you can hear is their voice as opposed to seeing their facial expressions. I feel like if they could have just a bit more of a budget, made the visuals look a little bit more up to par. Hell, give me Fortnite level looking visuals. I'd be fine with that. But make it dark and gritty. I think I'd be fine with it. So I'm on the fence about it because in some ways I get what you're saying, but I don't think I'm terrible in the fact or like a terrible take in the fact that if they had a little bit more of a budget, I'd probably be more interested. I'm not into games that look like they were built on another generation. And that's more of my thing. That's a me thing. That sounds ignorant. That's one reason why I can't go back and play like Final Fantasy VII. I've tried that, the original. I've tried that. I played it like halfway through it, and something else came out and never went back to it. I've played Final Fantasy IX. I played that one. That was the last one from that kind of era that I played.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much from Final Fantasy X forward, I've never looked back. I've always played games that always like pushed the envelope when it came to visuals. It always got visually a bit better. The gameplay always opened up, and that's just how I've always been. And so I've kind of evolved with the time, but I've also understood the fact that like when I was growing up, games like Spec Ops: The Line, where that story really, really is dark and really tries you. The gameplay is third-person shooter, so it's not like it's anything crazy. But the story, I'm looking for stories that are moving and make me do things that I don't like to do. It's kind of like with The Last of Us Part 2, and I can't wait to talk about it with Emma our next show because one of the things I love about that game is doing things I don't necessarily want to do. I don't want to play as Abby, but then when I play with her, I understand her side of the story. I don't want to play as Ellie when she's being just a murderous psychopath, but I understand where the story is going, and it kind of fits with that. So, like, I like games that kind of push me in a direction of, like, I get uncomfortable almost, and I do like that. And I think seeing Neil Druckmann's vision in part 2, and we'll talk about it, next show. I think that's why I favor games like that. And I think it's why I appreciate part 2 even more because it does make you do things that I'm used to doing, like in Spec Ops: The Line and with the darker story of Max Payne 3, the original Last of Us, and I mean, you can keep going down. That's just more of what I'm into because I just don't watch as many shows. I don't watch as many movies. So when I play games, this is the medium that I gravitate towards. I just like a darker story. I don't feel like we get that as much, and that's really my whole thing.
You might be right in regards to the darker stories.
I
think they're just hard to write.
I think so too,
well.
and I get it, and that's the thing too. Like maybe some people they go through enough depressing shit in their life, and maybe they don't want to do that. And hey, that makes 100% sense to me. Like, because like I get it. Like, we go through enough turmoil as it is. You don't want to play a game that's going to try you mentally and emotionally. But that's just what I gravitate towards. Dakota says, I think the fact that games take so long to make and console life cycles are getting shorter and shorter. So developers are moving more towards what they can make quickly and maximize profit. Yeah, that's about sums it up.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
I think that sums it up. Yeah, and I mean, and that, like I said, this conversation go on forever. I'm not trying to like sway anybody any kind of way. That's just the way I'm looking at it. But I think also too, I'm coming from a place of all games are trash right now. So it's like
yeah, I think you need to lay down for a bit.
So I think we've pretty much proven. So I think we've answered the question. Is gaming fatigue fact or myth? I would say it is a fact, right?
Scientifically proven, yes.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
use a scientific method on that bitch. And, it's a fact.
So, Jan, before we scoot on out of here for the week, you got anything you want to say to the people? Anything to close off this conversation? It's been a good show, good conversation.
I agree. Yeah, it's very lively. All I have to say is happy Easter, everybody, if you're celebrating it, and happy Sunday if you don't. That's it.
No, that sounds good, man. I'm probably just gonna chill at the house. I got a few things out in the yard I got to do, and just try to do more things in my time now that I have a few more hours in the day to do whatever. So, but
free from the shackles.
That's right. Yeah, just for a little while, and I'm hoping that everything will be somewhat back to normal. But I just want to thank everybody for coming on to another episode of the Deadhead Podcast, episode 45. Really happy for you guys to check in. Dakota, thank you for commenting on the on the stream, and to all you guys that to watch this later, thank you guys for listening to us talk for 2 hours. We could literally talk about games forever. Let us know if we made some good points, and if you guys are going through the same things I'm going through, I hope there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I hope you'll find your passion again. And look, at the end of the day, if it's not, man, there's so many other hobbies and so many different things we can get into. We got to find some kind of out when we're going through the things we go through, whether it becomes work or family or whatever. We got to find things that we can find enjoyment out of. And when we don't find enjoyment in the things that we love, at that point, it's just not a hobby. It's not something that we should do anymore. And I think that's where I'm at with it. And Jan, I appreciate you being very understanding of that. And, we're still going to keep this thing rolling. This is not the end of the show. This is not going to affect anything. We're going to keep things going. And hopefully more videos and more content will be coming, because I've been dead on arrival for the past month. So, we'll try to get back on that. So anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Next week we'll have Emma on to talk about The Last of Us Part 2. So that should always be good. Yeah, that's all I really got to say.
Yeah.
Board games. Yeah, I mean, maybe my wife's really into it, so maybe I'll play a few board games with her. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate you, and we'll see you next one. Stay dead, my friends.